What is your name?
My name is Hannah.
Welcome, Hannah. What pronouns do you accept?
I accept they, their, or she, her.
Okay. Is there one that you use primarily?
I primarily use they, them. There are a lot of people who use she, her with me, depending on how they know me.
Okay. How long have you been using they, them pronouns?
I've been using they, them pronouns for about a year. Became a lot more public with it this winter, just because it was something that I was kind of struggling with in the way that transitioning away from something that you've known your entire life.
So why has it only been a year?
I've always felt like this. I've always been this way. Um, but it's not something that was super common or even known for a huge part of my life. And the more I studied it, the more I delved into gender studies and sexuality and especially like feminism. I understood that you know it wasn't so black and white. Even understanding it as a spectrum, understanding how deep that spectrum went, helped me understand that okay, I don't fit into this mold or this idea or anything related to the gender binary. I'm just who I am and have always felt this way, and this feels right. And I still question it sometimes and then immediately think, this feels right. This is who I am. And it just took a long time to get there because it's a lot of soul searching and understanding yourself to get to that point.
Is there ever a time that you would use he, him pronouns?
No.
Okay. Is there a time that you actually prefer she, her pronouns?
I mean, I wouldn't say that I ever prefer them.
Right.
But for the sake of being comfortable in a situation, like
Right.
not explaining it to people who don't understand it and who would possibly get upset with me about it, and I just don't need to deal with it, I will use she, her pronouns because, like, some things are just not worth the battle.
So something that I've learned through the people that I've interviewed so far, it's good for me to ask, have you always gone by Hannah?
That was the name I was given at birth. I know for some people they don't like to have a gendered name, but I dated a guy with a female name. Like who cares? It's fine. Like it works. I have memories connected to my name, memories of my family and nicknames that they would give me based off of my name and things like that. And I love those memories, and that's part of the reason why I wouldn't want to change it, is because they are tied to those memories.
Would there ever be a time you would be upset if someone asked what your preferred pronouns are?
No, definitely not. I think it's something that we should all be doing.
So, in relation to that, how much responsibility do you think should be put on others to ask your preferred pronouns, or for you or other individuals to tell people?
I think it is definitely a social responsibility for everyone to ask pronouns.
All right. So, in what ways do you express your gender,
Mhm.
and in what ways do other people validate your gender?
Okay, that's a great question. So the way that I express my gender, it's interesting because I am very like feminine looking, I guess, or I pass as female. Um, and I feel that I dress pretty androgynously, but I'm still perceived as female, which it is what it is. It's just our failure as a society to catch up with, gender identity. But the way that I see myself, I look in the mirror and I don't like see a gender. I see myself, and yes, I wear makeup, but that's mostly because I have an autoimmune disease that really messes up my skin, and then also I like to wear makeup because I like how it looks. Um, and sometimes I will dress kind of femme in a way, but a lot of the time, halfway through the day, I'll have to go home and change because I am uncomfortable.
How do you feel your gender identity compares and relates to how society currently understands your gender?
I really feel like people look at me and see a woman, but people don't see my gender, my actual gender, when they look at me. And that can be frustrating.
Give a specific example of a time when someone gendered you correctly or incorrectly and how it made you feel.
I hated it when I was younger when I would get called a lady because I didn't understand what a lady was. I remember being at church and I was running around and this old woman told me it wasn't ladylike. And I was like, ladylike? What the heck is ladylike? I'm not a lady. Like, this doesn't fit. It doesn't feel right. And growing up, I would get misgendered all the time, but in it, rather than being called female, people would think I was male because of my appearance of being kind of androgynous looking and having really short hair and preferring to wear like baseball caps and clothing that I could run around in, like things that parents put on their little boys.
With the current conversation of transgender people and bathrooms,
Mm-hmm.
do you have anything to say or a specific example of something you have experienced that could make other people understand it more personally?
Mm-hmm. It's easy for me to walk into a bathroom and not have a problem because of how people perceive me. But I do have friends who identify with the gender they were born as, but uh, look look like the opposite gender, and they can't even walk into the bathroom that they want to go in without somebody freaking out. I know people who have to go in with someone else who looks like that gender, and the amount of discomfort that it causes to simply walk into a bathroom, to go to the bathroom, to do something that every human being on this planet does, and not be able to do that without someone there supporting you, that is incredibly wrong.
If you had to list 10 things in your life that you think about the most or that might be the most important to you, where would your gender identity fit in?
It fits in everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Um, in a way, I don't feel like I'm defined by my gender, but in also a big way, it is a part of who I am.
So you actually said that you were previously in a relationship with a cisgendered male, is that correct?
Yes, and I am in a relationship with a cisgendered male now.
Can you touch on that, please?
Yeah. As far as what it's like to be a non-binary person and be dating a cisgendered person, that may be confusing to some people, but in reality, my sexuality does not define my gender. They're two completely different things.
What advice would you give to youth who are questioning their gender identity?
I highly recommend digging into some books. Um, that was my way of figuring things out. Like, get curious about it. Get curious, get excited, because the world will open up to you.
What advice would you give to parents who have children who are questioning their gender identity?
My advice is to listen to them. It's a difficult process. It's literally questioning who you are as a person, especially when you have been told literally since birth that you are this thing, but it doesn't fit. It doesn't feel right. And so all the support and love in the world and understanding to let them actually explore this is going to make a world of difference in your child's life, in their happiness and confidence, and will lead to them having a happier future.
You use they, them pronouns, but you've said that when people assume that you use she, her pronouns, that you don't look to argue with them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what would it mean to you if tomorrow you woke up and every single person always referred to you as they, them?
It would mean that I wouldn't have to be uncomfortable sometimes when people misunderstand. When they assume that because I look female, that I am female. It would mean that I wouldn't get misgendered every single day.